said that judgment would begin in the house of God, but you also said, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. And we appeal to your mercy today, Lord. We acknowledge our sins are many. We have sanctioned the murder of millions of innocent lives and called it choice. We've allowed for the confusion and mutilation of our children and called it gender-affirming care. We have allowed lawlessness and chaos at the border, the trafficking of human and children, the importation of slave labor, and called it humanitarian. We hate our brother and sister and call it social justice. We have allowed hateful rhetoric, manipulative language, and lies to prevail and called it politics. We have taken you out of the public schools, government buildings, and the public square. We have rejected your influence on our lives, our homes, and even our churches, and we wonder why we are a nation in decline. We confess our apathy, fear, selfishness, and pride, and we ask you for forgiveness, mercy, and restoration. We pray that the church will rise in truth and take its place in the arena of public discourse, and we pray for the veil to be removed from those who are still in darkness. Lord, we also thank you for the many people, brave and courageous, that are looking to you, men and women who are standing up to unrighteousness and saying it is enough. We see the awakening that is happening, and we pray for a great awakening in America. We pray for a great revival of mercy and truth. We thank you for President Trump and for the many sacrifices he's made to serve, for his wife and his children and his grandchildren. We pray for their protection. We thank you for his courage, his grit, and determination to step into the ring and fight. We thank you also for men like J.D. Vance, who have also sacrificed to serve our country. He has faced evil and held on to his integrity. He has faced major roadblocks and obstacles from very young and has overcome. He has shown us that with you, all things are possible. We ask that your hand of favor and blessing be upon him and that he will acknowledge you in all his ways. I pray for these two men. I thank you for them and for all of those who will be involved with his administration. They have committed their honor, fortune, and even their very lives to serve our country. We love you, Lord. We thank you for giving us life. We thank you for the life that you sacrificed on the cross. We humbly ask that you will bless America. And we also ask that you would give us the strength to become a nation that blesses you. Be present here today. May you be honored and glorified in all that is said and done. In the precious name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Trump Force 47 Captain Jose Azorio to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome local musician Jana Badalayan to sing our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the singing of the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, their bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Republican candidate for North Carolina Labor Commissioner, Luke Farley.
Hello, Sanford. And a happy and blessed Sunday morning to y'all. Are you ready to elect Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States? Yes! That's happening on Tuesday, by the way. If you haven't voted yet, make a plan to vote. Now, I'm Luke Farley, and I'm proud to be your Republican nominee for North Carolina State Labor Commissioner. Now, when I tell people I'm running for Labor Commissioner, a lot of times I find they don't really know anything about that office except maybe one thing. Can anybody guess what that one thing is? Yes, it's the picture in the elevator. So 18 months of doing this, I am reluctantly running to be your next elevator guy. But this job is so much more than elevators. This is the job that is charged with looking after the health, safety, and well-being of the working men and women of North Carolina. And after 4 years of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they sure need somebody to be their champion. And I'm here to tell you today is your next... I'm here today to tell you as your next state labor commissioner, I will be that champion for North Carolina's working men and women. I'll be a champion for the working women and fight every single day to make this state a magnet for good-paying jobs. You know, the working men and women of this state deserve to work for more than just a minimum wage. They deserve to work for a maximum wage, and that's what I'll be fighting for as your next state labor commissioner. I believe we need to empower our workers, and the very best way to do that is to have a hot job market in this state, and the best way to do that is common sense economic policies like the ones Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance will bring to the White House on Tuesday. Now, I've been traveling this state for the last 18 months, talking to working men and women, and the one thing I hear over and over and over again is that they cannot afford the cost of living. We are having a major affordability crisis in this country. Housing and groceries in the last few years are up just 20%. Now, the saddest part of all of this is that it did not have to be this way. The affordability crisis we are all suffering through together right now are the result of policies by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Runaway, out-of-control spending in the trillions, that's trillions with a T, and destroying our energy independence have given us the inflation that we're suffering through now. Now, when Donald Trump was president, we had the strongest economy in a generation, and Kamala Harris broke it, but on Tuesday, you're going to help fix it. Now, if you're one of the people in this crowd who has not voted yet, or one of the people watching on TV who hasn't voted yet, I want to give you something to think about before Tuesday. I want you to think about all of the times over the last 3.5 years you went to the grocery store and you took something out of your cart and put it back because it was too expensive. Or you went to the gas station and you only filled up half your tank because that's all you could afford to do. Or all those times maybe you canceled a family vacation because you needed to work instead of going on vacation to pay your bills. That economic misery was brought to you by Kamala Harris, but it's going to be fixed by Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance starting Tuesday. So to anybody who hasn't voted, vote Tuesday. Take 10 of your friends with you to help end this economic misery. Get them to vote. Finish your ballot. Vote Republican from the top of the ticket to the bottom. Make sure Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance are back in the White House, and we end this affordability crisis. So starting on Tuesday, we're going to make America affordable again. Thank you all very much. I'm Luke Farley. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Republican candidate for North Carolina Auditor, Dave Bolick.
Lee County, good morning. I am Dave Bolick, proud to be your Republican nominee for North Carolina Auditor. One thing I am not, I'm not a knucklehead. One thing I am, a proud piece of garbage. Folks, I think we can agree that state government can be more efficient. That's why I'm running to be your North Carolina Auditor. I guess that's why my slogan says, you know, I'm reasonable, qualified, and a little bit nerdy. And I think that's kind of the actions we need as your state auditor. But I've got experience as a prosecutor, a businessman, and a leader making decisions in the face of liberal opposition. It's an important job with a serious mission to hold government accountable for the spending of your tax dollars. We need a serious person who has a conservative mind to count those dollars. But it's more than that. I'm prepared to change the culture in the state auditor's office. And yes, folks, those of you who have heard me speak know, day one, we're going to audit DMV, top to bottom. It's time that the DMV be more customer service friendly. We're going to follow that up with a comprehensive audit of the response or lack thereof in Western North Carolina. You send me to Raleigh as your auditor, and our team will make government more effective, more responsive, and more accountable. But the reason I'm here today is because of more than the position of state auditor. This election is the most important election in our time. Why? Why? Because it wasn't inconvenient for us to say a prayer here this morning. We meant it. It wasn't inconvenience for us to say the pledge and sing the national anthem. We're proud Americans. We teach our kids to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, thank you, and please. And we respect law enforcement and first responders. And we believe biological men should play men's sports and women should play women's sports. This election is about our North Carolina values and the values that built the United States of America. And we simply cannot trust the Harris-Walz administration to be in charge of anything, much less the economy of the United States of America, the greatest country on the planet. Since I'm running to be your next auditor, let's dig a little bit into the numbers. Under Kamala Harris's regime, prices have surged nearly 22%. Now that translates to an additional $1,000 out of each and every one of your households. That is absurd. All told, the typical North Carolina household has lost nearly $28,000 to inflation. But it's more than Kamala Harris's failed economic policies. We cannot trust the Harris-Walz administration to stop the illegal immigration tsunami that is on our southern border. Again, as a candidate to be your next auditor, let's dig a little bit into the numbers. Illegal immigration costs North Carolina taxpayers $3.14 billion each year, adding an additional $800 to your family budgets. According to 2023 numbers, here in North Carolina, illegal immigration has resulted in adding more than 122,000 students to our already overtaxed school systems, costing another $1.5 billion. In addition to the effects in education, the immigration crisis has cost North Carolina an additional $461 million in additional police, legal, and correctional expense. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden broke it. It's time for Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance to fix it. We can trust President Trump and Senator Vance to fix the economy, bring down inflation, put more money in your pockets. We can trust Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to fix the failed policies of the Harris administration and to strengthen our military forces at Fort Bragg down the street. and across the globe to make America strong again. And we can trust Senator Vance and Donald J. Trump to fix the southern border that our border czar, Kamala Harris, has broken. Ladies and gentlemen, President Donald J. Trump and Senator J.D. Vance have a record of common sense leadership, a record of understanding the ups and downs of the economy, and they have the experience and steady hand to manage unforeseen events both at home and overseas. Successful experience, trustworthy leadership, and the backbone to get the job done. Ladies and gentlemen, qualifications matter. But we can't govern if we don't win. And you heard my friend Luke Farley say it, and you're going to have every single person say it. Vote if you haven't voted. Get 10 people. I told you, I think I shook everybody's hand in line. 10 people. Take them to vote. Text. Call your friends. Talk to people in the grocery store line. Tell them to go out and vote the Republican ticket up and down the ballot. We cannot win the presidency and give away Raleigh in the courthouse. Finally, I stand here again as your Republican nominee for state auditor, the most qualified person in that race to keep state spending in check as your next state auditor. Likewise, it is clear that Donald J. Trump and Senator J.D. Vance are the most qualified to get the job done, and we must elect them to be the next president and vice president of the United States of America. I'm Dave Bullock, candidate for North Carolina auditor. Let's make North Carolina and the United States great again.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Republican nominee for Congressional District 13, Brad Knott.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is wonderful to be here. Whenever I come to Lee County, we say the pledge, we reference scripture, we pray in Jesus' name, and we sing the national anthem. God bless America. In line, I talk to many of you who are builders, soldiers, farmers, families, sons, daughters, proud parents. This is what America is all about. And I'm humbled to be here to have the opportunity not only to speak to you, but to potentially represent you in the United States Congress. And if we are successful on Tuesday, let me deliver some good news. Your next congressman will no longer be part of the Democratic Party. We are going to take one out of the Democratic column, and we are going to put it squarely in the Republican column. And with Donald Trump, we will make this country great again. Now, before I decided to run for office, I had the proud privilege of serving with law enforcement for the majority of my career. I had the high honor of working under President Trump when we actually prosecuted criminals, when we worked to secure the border, where if someone came here illegally and committed a crime, they paid a heavy, heavy price. I had the privilege of seeing just how our Constitution can function properly, when the citizens are prioritized, when criminals are punished, and our communities were safe. It's interesting, as a prosecutor, I visited several federal prisons, and I would see people be walked out with handcuffs on, put on a government vehicle, and taken to an airport where they were deported. As soon as the new regime came into power in January of 2021, those same people, as soon as their sentence were expired, they're here illegally, they've already served time for committing a felony here, they were picked up by civilians to never be seen again. Kamala Harris, I worked under her as well. Kamala Harris campaigned on decriminalizing illegal border crossings. And what did she do? She decriminalized illegal border crossings. We all feel the effects of it. We all feel the effects of it. She ushered in not only the inflation we've heard about, not only the surging government spending that we've heard about, not only debts and deficits that we have never seen before, she ushered in more than 10 million illegal immigrants in just 3.5 years. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to fix this mess. Now, the good news is the deep, deep problems that all of us feel, they're not complicated to fix. You prioritize citizens over illegal immigrants. We should not be spending billions of dollars giving illegal immigrants housing, food, education, and health care. Not when Social Security is broke, not when Medicare is broke, not when our own children right here in North Carolina need a better school system, more food on their table, more groceries in their pantry. An illegal immigrant should not receive one dime, not one dime. And my friends, this election is about more than just politics, as we all know. We've all given credence to that. It's about our American way of life. When Trump was president, what did his track record show us? That conservative, common sense principles work. Wages across every spectrum were going up. Inflation was at 1.5 to 1.8%. We had a robust economy that was generational in scale. All of that has been undone by the policies that have come out of Washington, D.C. the last 3.5 years. So let me just tell you this. We're running against Hollywood. We're running against the mainstream media. We're running against most academic institutions. And their entire message to you and to me is to be discouraged, to stay at home, to not be involved. But let me encourage you. We have truth on our side. We have a track record on our side. And come Tuesday, the world will see that we have the numbers on our side. And let me just tell you one more thing that has perhaps given me the most consternation of anything I've seen on this campaign trail. It is the sheer hatred that the other side has for you. They are prosecuting Donald Trump and his supporters. They called you and me garbage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would submit that we are not garbage for being outraged by the open border. We are not garbage for being outraged by the soaring crime, the raging inflation, the $35 trillion debt, men being ushered into women's locker rooms under the force of law. We are not garbage to be outraged by the weakness that we see abroad, the stifling regulations, the vibrant anti-Semitism that the left is embracing. You and I are standing on the right side of history. Come Tuesday, I urge you, like everyone up here has urged you, stand in the breach, go to the polls, take your friends to the polls. This is a fight that we can win. This is a fight that we will win. And when conservative, traditional Americans get back in power, following in line behind Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, we will make this country great again. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage United States Senator Ted Budd.
Well, hello, North Carolina. Has not God given us a beautiful day to help save our country? Well, we know what we have to do to save our country. We've got to elect Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. You know, President Trump, he made a great pick for his running mate, my friend J.D. Vance. He's a great colleague as well in the U.S. Senate, and he and I have been fighting for President Trump and the America First agenda long before we were ever even senators. We know that it was President Trump's policies that made us safer and made our country more prosperous. But after 4 years of Kamala Harris, we know that life here in America, it's unsafe and unaffordable. 4 years of drugs and dangerous criminals pouring into our homeland, and we know that Kamala Harris was in charge of it all. The other day, she even said, "I think we did the right thing on immigration." Did you hear her say that? It's crazy. You can't make that stuff up, folks. Do you think they made the right decisions on immigration? No, I don't think so. Well, don't worry. Kamala Harris' newest proposal is to allow illegal aliens with your taxpayer dollars to get transgender surgeries. What do you think about that, folks? What's she talking about? You know, we don't need more of her word salads. What we really need, we need strength and we need clarity. And the truth is that Kamala Harris, she's been an absolute failure as border czar. And under President Trump, we're going to get a wall and not weakness. But these last 4 years, we've not only lost the American dream, we've lost a lot of our American security. But with our American dream, I think one of my predecessors here, they mentioned it, it cost us more than $1,000. And that's, folks, not every year, that's every single month because of the spending spree that she took our country on. Now, you may have heard that she has a plan to lower these prices. Did you hear her say that? She's got a plan? But all we have to do is elect her and find out what it is. Have we heard him say that kind of thing before in years past? Yeah. Well, there's one big problem with that, folks. And what's that? She's already in office right now. Why doesn't she do something in the last 4 years? Why hasn't she done that? Yeah. Well, you know why? It's because she said she wouldn't change a single thing from what Joe Biden's done. So she wouldn't change a single economic policy. Look, folks, we know that it's her liberal policies that got us into this trouble, but it's Donald J. Trump that's going to get us out. I'm sure you all saw that President Biden has a new label for all of us. I see a few jackets out there. I see a few garbage men. Where are they? Right up there. He called us garbage. What an insult. I kind of like it, actually. You guys like it? And one of his supporters, Mark Cuban. How about that Shark Tank, y'all? He calls women. Where are the women here? I think more than half. I know I've got one special one with me, my sweet wife, Amy Kate. Well, he calls women who support Trump weak. You all believe that? I know we don't. No. What an insult. Let me let you all in just a little secret. The left knows that they're losing, and that's why they throw out these dangerous insults. So here's what we got to do, right? And we know. The last thing we need you to do is vote. Who all here has voted already, right? All right, in 2 days. Who's going to vote on Tuesday? All right, there's a few of us out there. All right. I like that. I like that they're still out there, but I like that we got a lot more that have already voted. But whether you're voting on Tuesday or whether you've already voted, and somebody's already said it, and we really mean it, we need you to find those 10 friends, neighbors, maybe somebody's car's a little low on gas, they're having trouble, maybe they don't have a car, they need a little help. You go out and you find those friends and those neighbors, and you bring them to the polls. Because we got to swamp the vote. We got to make it too big, say it, too big to rig. That's right. Kamala Harris and the radical left, they are coming for North Carolina, folks. They really think they can win it. But you know what? We're not going to let that happen. We need to be in this fight together to stop Kamala Harris and elect Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage RNC Chairman Michael Whatley.
Well, God bless North Carolina. Isn't it great to get together here on a November Sunday morning, open up with the Word of God, and then talk about how we're going to save America in just 2 more days. And it is really great to be back home in North Carolina. You know, I got to tell you, folks, I've spent a lot of time with President Trump and J.D. Vance around the country over the last several months. We've been to a lot of communities like Lee County, and we've talked to a lot of great patriots, a lot of great Americans, just like folks like you, although candidly, you guys are a little better looking than average. And there's one consistent message that we continue to hear over and over and over. Does America want to be a weak country for the next 4 years? Or does America want to be a strong country? Because this election cycle is all about not just the direction that North Carolina is going to go, not just the direction that America is going to go, but where is the world going to go? Because we need a strong America. The world needs a strong America. Now, 9 years ago, Donald J. Trump came down an escalator. You guys may have seen it, maybe? And he said he was going to make America great again. He said he was going to make America great again by doing 3 things. He's going to secure our southern border, he's going to rebuild our economy, and he is going to make sure that America is strong enough to protect our interests and our allies around the world. And after he shocked the world and won that election in 2016, for the next 4 years, that is exactly what he did. And look where we are today. Look where we are today. We have a vice president leading an administration. Who knows where Joe Biden is? I think he's still out on the beach in Delaware somewhere. We have a vice president who, as our borders are, unleashed 94 executive actions to dismantle the most secure southern border that we have ever seen. Not only does she give those illegal aliens a phone, she gives it to them with an app. All they got to do is fill it out and walk in. When that's not enough, she puts hundreds of thousands of them on airplanes and flies them over the border to settle them into towns like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio. No wonder we have seen 10, 15, 20 million illegal immigrants come across this border. And what is her response? What is her pledge for the next 4 years? We're going to give them free health care. We're going to give them free college tuition. We're going to give them driver's licenses, and then we're going to let them vote. That's the plan. We have a vice president who cast the tie-breaking vote on $2.5 trillion worth of unnecessary, wasteful government spending. When President Obama's own economic advisors told her it was going to send inflation through the roof, she did it anyway. And now every family in North Carolina is paying 25% more for groceries. You're paying 25% more for rent. It costs twice as much to buy the same house today as it did 4 years ago, and you're paying 50% more for gasoline at the pump. Kamala Harris, who stood up Benjamin Netanyahu at a joint session of Congress to go to a sorority event down in Texas, who went to a world leader confab in Europe and told President Putin, do not invade Ukraine. 5 days later, he invaded Ukraine. Not much of a deterrent. Ladies and gentlemen, America is weak. And when America is weak, the world is a far more dangerous place. In 2 days, we are going to elect a president who is going to, on day one, shut down that southern border and start the largest mass deportation in American history. And he's going to end the scourge of fentanyl and migrant crime, and he is going to keep American communities safe. In 2 days, we are going to re-elect a president who is going to stop inflationary spending. He's going to unleash American energy. He is going to cut your taxes, and he is going to bring down your prices. And in 2 days, we're going to re-elect a president who is going to stand up to bullies like Russia and China and Iran. And he's going to protect our allies like Israel. And he is going to protect our interests at home and abroad. In 2 days, we're going to elect a president who is going to back the blue, and he is going to support our troops, our veterans, and our military families. And in 2 days, we are going to elect a president who chose for vice president a man who grew up in Appalachia, dirt poor, who joined the military after 9/11 because he wanted to serve his country, who put himself through school, who made himself a spectacular business, who married a wonderful woman and started a beautiful family, who answered the call to service again. He's now in the Ohio Senate. Now, how many people here are excited to welcome J.D. Vance to God's country, North Carolina? Now, I saw how many of you folks have already voted. I have to say, that's pretty darn awesome. But it's not enough. I need every single one of you to commit right here, right now, to giving us 50 minutes. It's not even an hour. Go out there and find 10 friends, family members, colleagues, coworkers, people you go to church with. Have a 5-minute conversation and tell them Donald J. Trump needs you to vote. America needs you to vote. And you convince them to get out there on Tuesday. That's how we are going to make this movement the most successful movement that we've ever seen in American politics. Because I'll tell you what, in 2 days, we are going to, with Brad Knott and a number of others across the country, make sure that we expand our majority in the House. In states all across this country, we are going to elect senators, and we are going to flip the Senate. Ted, we'll get you a little more friends, a little more cover there in the Senate. And then, by God, we are going to elect Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance to be the 47th President of the United States of America. So enjoy the rally, then get on home, roll up your sleeves, get out your phone, start making those calls, get to work, and let's make America great again. Thank you, everybody.
So much space, and when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch, but it wasn't because I didn't know enough, I just knew too much. always love you. But long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, though life would still go on, believe me, the world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, the life would still go on, believe me. The world could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without. 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 God only knows what I'd be
Heavenly shades of night are falling. It's twilight time. Out of the mist your voice is calling. 'Tis twilight time. When purple-colored curtains mark the end of day, I'll hear you, my dear, at twilight time. Deepening shadows gather splendor as day is done. Fingers of night will soon surrender the setting sun. I count the moments, darling, till you're here with me. Together at last at twilight light. Here in the afterglow of day, we keep our rendezvous beneath the blue air. In the sweet and same old way, I fall in love again as I did then. Deep in the dark, your kiss will thrill me like days of old, lighting the spark of love that fills me with dreams untold. Each day I pray for evening just to be with you. Together at last at twilight time. Here in the afterglow of day, we keep our rendezvous beneath the blue. Here in the sweet and same old way, I fall in love again as I did then. Deep in the dark, your kiss will thrill me like days of old, lighting the spark of love that fills me with dreams untold. Each day I pray for evening just to be with you. Together at last at twilight time. Together at
forgot all about the library like she told her old man now. And with the radio blasting goes cruising just as fast as she can now. And she'll have fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes the T-Bird away. Fun, fun till her daddy takes the T-Bird away. It's can't stand her 'cause she walks, looks and drives like an ace now. You walk like an ace. She makes the Indy 500 look like a Roman chariot race. Like an ace now, you look like an ace. A lot of guys try to catch her, but she leads them on a wild goose chase. Like an ace now, you drive like an ace. She'll have fun, fun, fun till her daddy takes the T-Bird away. Fun, fun till her daddy takes the T-Bird away. everybody had an ocean across the USA, then everybody be surfing like California. You'd see them wearing their baggies, Warachi sandals too, a bushy, bushy blonde hairdo, surfing USA. You'll catch them surfing at Del Ventura County line, Santa Cruz and Trinidad, Australia's Caribbean, all over Manhattan, and down Doheny Way. Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. We'll all be planning out a route we're gonna take real soon. We're waxing down our surfboard, we can't wait for June. We'll all be gone for the summer, we're on safari to stay. Tell the teacher we're surfing, surfing USA. And Anchor Keys and Swan, Pacific Palisades, San Onofre and Sun, Redondo Beach, LA, all over La Jolla, and Waimea Bay. Everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. 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 Yeah, everybody's gone surfing, surfing USA. Yeah, everybody's gone.
You were young and your heart was an open book. You used to say, live and let live. No, you did, you know you did, you know you did. Thought if this ever-changing world in which we live in makes you give in and cry. Say, live and let
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the next Vice President and Second Lady of the United States, Senator J.D. Vance and Usha Vance.
Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it worst. Let the rest of the world help us for change, and let's rebuild America first.
Thank you. Man, it is good to be in Sanford, North Carolina, and I believe it's just in 2 days that we're going to turn North Carolina red and make Donald J. Trump the next president of the United States. Now, I gotta ask, who voted early in this? Wow. It's a big crowd. Well, and who is gonna vote on Election Day? Good. All right, so most of us have voted early. That, you know what that means? You can spend the next 2 days getting everybody who hasn't voted early to the polls on Tuesday, November the 5th. And everybody, of course, who has already voted, you guys, you can't take the next 2 days off, right? You gotta keep working. Gotta keep getting people to the polls. The only way we're gonna win this race is to swamp the vote and make this thing too big to rig. So let's go out and do that together. Now, there's a website that we set up called swampthevoteusa.com, swampthevoteusa.com, and I would normally say you can request a ballot or vote early, but you can't do that anymore in the state of North Carolina. So what you can do there is to check your registration, check your polling location at swampthevoteusa.com. You can also get involved in our turnout efforts. Look, right now in the state of North Carolina, it's about as good as ever had it. We have never gone into Election Day with an early vote lead in the state of North Carolina, and we are right now. We are leading the race. So that's the good news. The bad news is the Democrats are going to try to swamp the vote in their own way on Election Day, so we got to make sure that every single friend, every family member, everybody who hasn't gotten to the polls, we got to make sure that they get there, and that's why we're here, is to remind you that we have got to win, not just the days before Election Day, because that's only half the battle, and I'm glad that we won it, but we got to win Election Day too, and that's what we're going to win. We're going to make Donald Trump the winner of North Carolina, but the president-elect of the United States. Now, the stakes of this election couldn't be higher, of course, and I think it's important to remind our fellow citizens that they could have it so much better, and in fact, when Donald Trump was president, they did have it so much better. Look, I brought this just to illustrate how much Kamala Harris's inflation has cost us. This is $5,000 right here. This is 5 months of Kamala Harris's inflation. Every North Carolina family is paying this in additional grocery prices, and additional rent prices, and additional housing prices. And ask yourselves, how much bigger is this stack gonna be with 48 months of Kamala Harris's leadership? The answer is it's gonna be way too high. Now, meanwhile, Donald J. Trump would like to give every single American this in the form of a tax cut. So you gotta ask yourselves, you gotta ask yourselves, every 5 months, do you want Kamala Harris reaching in your wallet and taking this out? Or do you want a president of the United States who is gonna give you more of your hard-earned money back and make it easier for you and your families to prosper? That's what's at stake for North Carolina. And I got a guy in the front here asking me to give it to him, and sir, we're not Democrats. We don't pay people to vote. Your reward for voting for Donald J. Trump is that your checking account's gonna get bigger because we're gonna pursue common sense economic policies that make us all more prosperous. That's how you're gonna get richer, sir. But I can't blame you for trying. It's worth asking. Look, Kamala Harris, it's simple. Kamala Harris broke this economy, and Donald J. Trump will fix it. Kamala Harris inherited an economy where we had 1.5% inflation, and over the last 4 years, her inflation has cost North Carolina families about $28,000. Kamala Harris inherited the safest and most secure border in the history of the United States of America, and in 4 years we have seen the number of illegal aliens in this country grow to 25 million. Kamala broke the southern border, and Donald J. Trump will fix it. I don't know if you saw the jobs report a couple of days ago, but the American economy lost 28,000 private sector jobs. We lost 46,000 manufacturing jobs in just the last month. Kamala Harris broke the private sector economy, and Donald J. Trump is going to fix it. And of course, whether it's housing prices, whether it's mortgage interest rates, whether it's grocery prices, everything has gotten more expensive under Kamala Harris's leadership. So again, we have to ask ourselves, do we want a president who broke the economy, broke the border, broke your wallets, or do we want a president who has already fixed it and will fix it again when we give him an opportunity to govern? Now, here's the thing. I actually saw, I saw Tim Walz just a couple of days ago, my Democratic colleague who has to run around trying to convince the American people that Kamala Harris is fit to be President of the United States. We were on a tarmac in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we were about to hit the road and come to Arizona and then, of course, come back east where we're campaigning for the next couple of days. And, it occurred to me that I've had tough days at work, and I'm sure every single person in this room has had a tough day at work. But I bet none of you have ever had as tough as a day as Tim Walz does. Because think about this. Tim Walz has got to go around and convince the American people that Kamala Harris has the competence to be the President of the United States. I'm sure you've had a tough day at work. I don't know if it's ever been that bad. Tim Walz has got to go around the country and try to convince people that Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president, is somehow going to change and do something different over the next 4 years that she hasn't done over the last 4 years. Tim Walz has got to go convince people that Kamala Harris is going to be different than she has been. She's going to fix the problems that her policies created. You know what I get to go around and do? I get to go around and talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump was president, we had the fastest rising take-home pay in 40 years in the United States of America. I get to go around and talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump left office, inflation was at 1.5%. Americans can afford the basic necessities of a good life. And I get to go around and talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump was president, we were able to secure the southern border, and we told people who came here illegally into this country, go back home and come through the proper channels. We're not welcoming illegal immigration by the hundreds of thousands. That is the Donald Trump record, and that is the Donald Trump plan for our future. And it's funny to watch Kamala Harris. She gives these interviews. And, on the one hand, obviously, I disagree with Kamala Harris on all these issues. I criticize her every single day. On the campaign trail, I criticize what she has done to the United States of America. And then on the other hand, she goes and does an interview, and I think she picks us up about 100,000 votes. So, Kamala Harris isn't all bad, right? Every now and then she helps us out. And here's the thing. When Kamala Harris, when she's got a teleprompter in front of her, she throws out a bunch of slogans, and sometimes they sound ridiculous and sometimes they sound okay, but we can't pay attention to the slogans of Kamala Harris. We've got to pay attention to what she's actually done. And what Kamala Harris has actually done is that she came into office and bragged about undoing Donald Trump's successful border policies. She came into office and said that she was going to go to war on American energy, and that's exactly what Kamala Harris did, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we can't afford groceries and why our citizens can't afford to buy a nice home. She came into office and said she cast a tie-breaking vote on trillions of dollars of new spending. And so every time you hear Kamala Harris stand before the American people with a teleprompter in front of her and say, on day one, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis, or on day one, we're going to secure the southern border, you can ask Kamala Harris, day one was 1,400 days ago. What the hell have you been doing for the past 4 years? Stop talking about your job and start doing your job. But as much as she pretends and as much as she's got these slogans about how she's going to somehow do something in the next 4 years that she hasn't done while she's actually been the sitting vice president, again, she gives us the gift of going out there and giving interviews. And even though they're always softball interviews, and even though our friends in the press never ask Kamala Harris difficult questions, sometimes they ask her easy questions and she still screws those up. And the definition, of a Kamala Harris gaffe is when she accidentally tells the truth, because sometimes she does do that. And a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you saw this, but she gave an interview with The View. And I always say, look, the sacrifice I make as your next vice president is I watch Kamala Harris on The View so that you don't have to. Look, we need you. You're welcome. We need you as sharp as you possibly can be for the next 2 days because we got to turn out the vote. So don't go and watch this interview because you lose about 20 IQ points if you do. But I watched this interview, and remember, she talks about how different she's going to be from Joe Biden when she's got a teleprompter in front of her. But they ask her in this unscripted interview, what would you have done differently over the last 4 years? And think about all the things she could point to. The wide open southern border, the unaffordable grocery prices, all of the pain and suffering that her policies have caused for the American people. What would you have done differently over the last 4 years is the easiest question imaginable. And Kamala Harris says, nothing comes to mind. Well, think about this. How is the person who admits that she would have done nothing different over the last 4 years, how is she going to solve the problems that have been created by the last 4 years of policy? If she's not going to do anything differently, how is she going to lower your grocery prices? If she's not going to do anything differently, how is she going to make home ownership more affordable for our young people? If she's not going to do anything differently, how does she propose exactly to close the border that was opened under her watch? And the answer is she doesn't plan to do anything differently. So for the people of North Carolina, the choice is very clear. It's a choice between more of the same. More high grocery prices, more unaffordable housing, more open borders, more fentanyl in our communities, or the choice is, do we take this country in a different direction? Do we get back to peace and prosperity? Do we get back to the leadership of Donald J. Trump? And that's what we're going to do. Now I want to tell you a story about President Trump, and I think it illustrates the difference between the character of the two candidates, because the media, lies obsessively, of course, about President Trump, but I actually think that there's something really important that I learned about him a few weeks ago, and that was after the second assassination attempt. Now, we all saw the first assassination attempt. He raises his hand in the air and says, fight, fight, fight. I was inspired by that. I think that everybody here was. The act of defiance in the face of an assassin's bullet. But a few weeks after that, after a second assassination attempt, the president called me and told me what had just happened. And I said, oh my God, sir, are you okay? Clearly you're physically okay, but that's a traumatic thing to happen, a second assassination attempt in as many months. And he says, yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm kind of pissed off, though, because I was going to make a birdie on the 6th hole, and the Secret Service wouldn't let me finish. And it kind of occurred to me in that moment that that's the kind of person you want in the Oval Office when the world goes to hell. Because you never know how somebody's going to react under a moment of crisis until you actually see their response under that moment of crisis. And you've got Kamala Harris, who runs from the friendly American media. Can we trust that person to negotiate for us with Vladimir Putin, the leader of Russia, Xi Jinping, the leader of China? No, of course we can't. Because she can't even talk to the friendly American media. She sure as hell can't be trusted to negotiate on our behalf on the world stage. But you know who I do trust? The guy who took a second assassination attempt with good humor and didn't lose his cool and went back to work the very next day. That's who we want doing the American people's business. Now, I know the president has sacrificed, of course, a lot in the name of public service, but also his family has sacrificed a lot in the name of public service. And so, you know, we've been thrilled to have a number of dear friends of mine. Senator Bill Haggerty's on the plane with us, going around the country. Of course, the most important person who's here, no offense to any of you, but is my lovely wife, Usha, who's been a great... He's been a great partner, of course, but just my best friend, and it's fun to get to do this with your best friend. We've got the great Senator Ted Budd and his lovely wife. Thank you, Ted, for being here. But we've also had my dear friend and the president's eldest son, who I think would like to say a few words. Donald Trump Jr., come on up here and tell the people why they need to vote for your dad.
Hello, North Carolina. How's everyone doing today? Very nice. Listen, guys, I saw it coming in. I love that you've all almost early voted. But now, if I got to spend like the last 3 months on the campaign trail doing like 4 to 7 stops a day, you guys can spend the next 3 days rounding up, finding your friends, texting them, calling them, making sure we make this too big to rig. We have an incredible opportunity right now to do something for our country, something that's so spectacular, something that's so different. It's just not the typical bureaucracy anymore. Think of now we have like an actual like America First bench. How great has J.D. Vance been out there? Then you add in guys like Bobby Kennedy, let him fix the problems that they've been poisoning our kids with in health. You have Tulsi Gabbard. You got people from across the aisle coming in to finally put common sense first. And then you have the ultimate, Elon Musk. How about you put him in there and clear up some of the bottlenecks and the things that are broken in DC. I mean, the guy literally, he's putting things into space in like a few weeks. He started this a couple of months ago, and he's outperforming NASA. That's been doing it for like 75 years. I mean, isn't that perfect? Isn't that exactly what we need? And it's exactly why DC is pushing so hard against it. That's all they have. They have that bureaucracy. With that bureaucracy is money and power, and that's all they care about. You see it each and every day. So we can do something different, but we cannot do it by ourselves. We saw it. They can cancel the most powerful guy in the world. They can shut him down. They can censor him. They can manipulate him. They can say things he didn't say, or they take like the first like quarter of a sentence and just neglect to inform anyone about the rest of the sentence. Whatever they do for their narrative, they will do it. Okay, the fake news, they're gonna fake. We see that. And we also understand that we are not in a fair fight because of it. That is $1 trillion industry. You combine that with another $1 trillion in big tech, functioning as the propaganda arm of today's Democrat Party, and you realize we all have to function as a team together, and we can do that. I mean, I thought JD's example, JD pulling out that fat stack of Benjamins. We were in Vegas, one of the guys hit on a slot machine, not exactly the most manly form of gambling, but fine. But I thought it illustrated a great point. But I think another example that I like to use when I talk about it is I took 2 of my sons. Last summer, we were on a father-son fishing trip. We came back and they were hungry. They were 10 and 14 at the time. And we went to McDonald's, where my father is now allegedly a fry cook. Now, the Biden-Harris economy is so bad that Donald Trump has to not only run for president, but he has to work at McDonald's and as a garbage man just to make ends meet. And you know what I loved about it? It was the media response to McDonald's. Oh my God, it was a staged opportunity. It's like, no, really? Like, I thought he was actually working there. I mean, that's how insane they are. Think of that, okay? But I take my kids to McDonald's, And I'm not one of these guys, you know, liberal virtue signaling. My 2-week-old baby was crying the other day about the potential of nuclear proliferation on the Korean Peninsula. It's like, no, I know exactly who I am. I'm very comfortable with it. I'm open and honest about it. I'm the son of a billionaire from Manhattan. But if Donald Trump Jr. takes his children to McDonald's and has sticker shock, that is a serious problem, folks, okay? Like, that is a serious problem. Like, McDonald's was never, until the Harris-Biden economy, it was never a luxury item, right? And under my father, it won't be again. But we have to get him there, okay? This notion that Kamala Harris is going to be an agent of change. She's going to be, if she was going to change anything, well, she's changed a lot. It's all for the worse. But like, if she was going to change anything for the better, wouldn't you have done it by now? I mean, you are the Vice President of the United States. You're number 2 in charge. And you can't come up with anything you would have done differently. Wouldn't have done Afghan withdrawal differently. Wouldn't have handled the border differently. Think of the crime, the death, the fentanyl that's come across the border under her watch. She's not going to do anything differently, guys. Thinking that Kamala Harris is going to do something different, that's like crapping your pants and changing your shirt. You switch out Biden for Harris. It's literally the example. And you know how we know this? Because after about a month, when they finally forced her to put up her policies on her webpage, she cut and pasted from Joe Biden's playbook. Didn't even change the source code. Nothing is going to change. Don't be gaslit by it. Don't believe it. Just get all of your friends out. If we do this, we will do this together. Okay, we can take back our country together. We will function like a team. We will actually have unity. We will end the insanity of men in women's sports. We'll end the insanity of our open border policies, where they let in 600,000 criminals, 13,000 murderers, 16,000 sex offenders and rapists. Think about that. Those are U.S. government statistics from their administration. They know that's coming across our border, and they allowed it to happen anyway. This is not sane. They're not worried about any of that. They'll allow that to happen. But if someone adopts a baby pet squirrel, justice for Peanut. No, but think about it. Our government will let in 16,000 rapists, they'll let in 13,000 murderers, they'll let in 600,000 criminals across our border. But if someone has a pet squirrel without a permit, they go in there and kill the squirrel. Think about it. That's the Democrat Party. That's where they'll go. That's their overreach. They want to control every aspect of your life. The big stuff, the stuff that matters, the stuff that's killing our kids, destroying our neighborhoods. That's different. We got to follow the woke playbook. Change it all on November 5th. Yes, it is. Change it all. So, guys, it's up to you. JD's going to be in there. The whole team's going to be in there. But you guys have to make that possible. You guys have to be that catalyst for change to allow it to happen. So whatever you would do if you woke up on November 6th and Kamala Harris was president-elect, whatever you would do for that mulligan, whatever you would do for that do-over, do it for the next 3 days. You act and function like you're the third monkey in line for the Ark and it's starting to rain. Because that's the reality of the situation. So North Carolina, thank you so much. JD, thank you so much. You guys are the best. We love you, and we will always, always, always keep fighting for every one of you. Thank you, guys.
So I know Don's fired up about Peanut the squirrel. We were on the way down here from Cincinnati. He was like, is it really the case that the Democrats murdered the Elon Musk of squirrels? And I said, yeah, it sounds like, have you seen the videos of this squirrel? Yeah. He's a genius, or he was, unfortunately. But the same government that doesn't care about hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrant criminals coming into our country doesn't want us to have pets. It's the craziest thing. Look, let me leave you with a couple thoughts here, because I know we're going to get on to the next spot, and I want to make it clear that if you are undecided in this election, I think it's important to consider what's at stake. And I know all of you are not undecided, but there are a lot of people we're going to watch at home. We're going to see the clips from this, and I think it's so simple. The media is trying to distract us. They're trying to talk about everything other than which candidate in this race is going to make your life better. Which candidate in this race is going to take this money out of your pocket, and which candidate is going to put it back in? The answer is we already know. We don't have to guess. Kamala Harris, over the last 4 years, has been taking money out of your pocket with inflation. Donald Trump already put a lot of money back in your pocket when he was president, and that's exactly what he's going to do again. We ask ourselves, how do we create the prosperity of the Trump economy? How do we go from low inflation and rising take-home pay to where Kamala Harris has got us today? And the answer is very simple. Kamala Harris decided to wage war on the American energy industry. Because think about this. If the truck driver who's delivering the groceries to the grocery store is paying 45% more for diesel, then all of us are paying more for the groceries at the grocery store. If the guy delivering the lumber to the job site is paying 40% more for gasoline, then all of us are paying more for the house that was built at that job site. So the Donald Trump plan to get us back to economic prosperity is very simple. It's just about common sense. Where Kamala Harris would like us to buy oil and gas from tin pot dictators all over the world, Donald Trump wants us to drill, baby drill, buy it from American workers in American territory. Where Kamala Harris talks about wanting to raise your taxes and reward foreign corporations that ship our jobs overseas, Donald J. Trump is saying, why don't we give American workers and American companies a tax cut, and why don't we penalize the foreign corporations that are stealing our jobs and shipping them to China and Mexico? That's common sense. Where Kamala Harris has rolled out the red carpet to illegal immigration, has offered to give Social Security and Medicare benefits paid for by you to people who have no legal right to be in this country, Donald J. Trump is saying, let's finish the wall and send illegal aliens back to their home countries, which is where they belong. This is not rocket science, my friends. I really do believe that we're ready to unleash a golden age of prosperity in this country. We've got the best workers. We've got the best natural resources. We've got the most beautiful country in the world. The only thing that is broken about the United States of America is Kamala Harris's leadership in Washington, D.C. So in 2 days, I invite the people of North Carolina to join me in saying to Kamala Harris, you are fired. Go back to San Francisco where you belong. We don't want you in Washington anymore. And while Kamala Harris attacks her fellow citizens for daring to criticize the job that she has done as vice president, if you think that she's done a crappy job on the border, she'll call you a racist. If you think that you should be able to afford housing and groceries, her boss, Joe Biden, will call us garbage. And here's the simple message to the leadership, the broken, corrupt leadership of Washington, D.C. Our fellow citizens are not garbage for not being able to afford groceries. The people of this country are not racist because they think that we ought to have a secure southern border. We are not garbage for thinking that we ought to kick the Mexican drug cartels and the poisonous fentanyl that they brought into this country the hell out of our country. But while none of our fellow citizens, whatever their politics, are garbage for thinking that Kamala Harris has done a bad job, in just 2 short days, we're going to take out the trash in Washington, D.C., and that's what we have an opportunity to do. Now, we're going to have to hit the road, but I want to leave you with one final thought and one final request to continue to work to get out the vote. Because as much as I'm going to look forward to beating Kamala Harris and the Democrats in just a couple of short days, and trust me, I'll probably enjoy it more than anybody in this hangar, This is not just about red team versus blue team. This is not just about Republican versus Democrat, because look, we got a lot of Democrats and independents who we're proud to have on this team. This election is about giving the American people the leadership that it deserves, about giving the American nation a president who puts our citizens first, about an American leader who has compassion for the people who have the legal right to be in this country, not to illegal aliens who have taken advantage of this country. That's what this election is about. And think about all of our fellow citizens, the people who built this country, the people who go to work every day and keep it running, and they're suffering right now. They're suffering because of that broken leadership in Washington, D.C. I've met parents whose teenagers died of a fentanyl overdose because they did what a lot of teenagers do. They took something under peer pressure, and because the Mexican drug cartels have taken advantage of this country, what they took was laced with fentanyl. And so they paid for that teenage mistake, not with a lecture from their parents, but with their lives. We have got to fix what's wrong in this country so that American parents can raise their children in safe and secure neighborhoods. That's what this election is about. I talked to a woman who told me that for 40 years, she and her husband had a family ritual. They would do steak night every Friday night, but last year they canceled steak night for the first time in 40 years because the groceries got so expensive that they were unable to do something that they had done for a half of a century. Now, I happen to believe that if you work hard and play by the rules, you ought to be able to afford steak night on a Friday night with your loved ones. And that is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the Americans who want to afford a nice meal. We're fighting for our fellow citizens who can't afford groceries and housing because of what's gone on in this country for the last few years. We're fighting for American parents and grandparents to raise their children in safe and secure neighborhoods. We're fighting for the basic principle that if you work hard and play by the rules, you ought to be able to get ahead in this country that all of us love. Now, I believe that that can happen, and I believe it will happen, but it won't happen unless we give the American people a president who is fit to lead this great nation. So in 2 days, North Carolina, let's do exactly that. Let's make Donald J. Trump the president of the United States. We're gonna do it. Let's do it together. God bless you.
Why don't we liberate these United States? We're the ones who need it worst. Let the rest of the world help us for change, and let's rebuild America first. Our highways and bridges are falling apart. Who's blessed and who has been cursed? There's things to be done all over the world, but let's rebuild America first. Who's on the hill and who's watching the valley? Who's in charge of it all? God bless the army and God